Welcome to my nightmare.
What's up, boys and ghouls? Welcome to the first episode of 2026 of Cinematic Nightmares. As always, I am your host, Mika G. And in this episode of Cinematic Nightmares, we are going to be talking about Welcome to Derry Season 1, the show that said from episode 1, if you're looking for comfort horror, this ain't it. As you can see, I have a special guest with me. You're not. This face is familiar. He's always on Cinematic Nightmares game night. And matter of fact, he was one of my first guests. Actually, he was my first guest.
Oh, I was like, I guess I was the first guest. We did Bondsman.
You were the first guest, the very first guest of Cinematic Nightmares, Mr. 101 from the Jack of All Talks podcast. None other than Marcus.
What's going on? Thank you. Pleasure to be back where it all started.
So I couldn't think of a better person to discuss Welcome to Derry with, because when we are on Jack of All Talks, we talk about some pretty heavy stuff. And Welcome to Derry
it's got a little bit of everything. It's Jack of All Talks adjacent. So yeah.
Right. So before we get into the chaos that is Welcome to Derry, I'm gonna do a quick full season recap for you. So Welcome to Derry takes place in 1962 during one of Pennywise's awakening cycles. The season opens with Maddie Clements being killed, and at that moment sets the tone immediately. The kids are not safe in Derry. No one is protected just because they're young. Maddie's death becomes the emotional wound that everything else grows out of. From there, we follow a group of kids: Lily, Ronnie, Teddy, Phil, Marge, Rich, and Will, who are all dealing with fear in different ways. Some of it's supernatural, visions, hallucinations, things that feel off but don't have names yet. And some of it is painfully human: neglect, bullying, adults who refuse to listen, because this is Derry. At the same time, the Derry Air Force Base and the military presence is becoming more aggressive under General Shaw, who has a personal history with Derry and what's buried beneath it. Dick Halloran is brought in because of his psychic abilities, and instead of protecting him, the military exploits him. As fear spreads, Derry does what Derry does: deny, deflect, and scapegoat. Pennywise isn't just a monster here, it's part of the town's ecosystem, ancient, cynical, and patient for some apparent reason. By the end of the season, Pennywise isn't destroyed, he's contained, and that distinction matters because containment means obviously he's coming
27 back. More years of chaos.
Yes. So I want to jump straight into, obviously episode 1 is the episode that drew me in.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even going to front. Like, I initially was like, I was telling you when we were talking about it before, like, I initially wasn't even going to watch. I was going to wait and, do whatever. And if they came out with something else, I get drawn into it. I wasn't going to watch. I got a phone call and somebody was like, yo, have you seen Welcome to Derry? Like, nah, I'm cool. I was like, I'll catch it eventually. They were like, no. They were like, the first scene is finna have you shook, because they were like, it's so graphic. They were like, I want you to go back and think about when we took biology. And the reason we were like, yo, we cool off having kids for a minute. That's the first scene. That show Welcome to Derry moment. And I was like, oh yeah, we go ahead. Go on, play episode 2 and 3. We good. I got a couple hours to put the gym open. Come on now. It's all right.
And
I don't need that much sleep.
And what Marcus is talking about is the mutant baby.
Mutant baby.
And they did not shy away from showing every nasty part of this baby being given birth to. Like, it was nasty.
While we were getting ready to do this, that episode was replaying in the background. Like I was just playing it, and that mutant baby busted through them big draws viciously and nastily. It's just super grotesque. Just there was literally almost, I mean, there's nothing else you can say. There's not like there was nothing left to the imagination. That was childbirth for real.
Yeah. And it was disgusting. And I've given birth before. Like, no.
That was like to see that baby like literally just push through them big ass cotton draws. Like, yo, what are we doing here?
That was literally what I said when I saw it. I said, so this is what we're doing. We're here.
What is it? It's 8 minutes in. It ain't even like, oh, we're gonna get to it like mid. No. The opening credits have rolled. Meet character 1, meet character 2, mutant baby big ass cotton draws.
Yes. And but what's so wild about episode 1 is that we don't just see the mutant baby once. We see the mutant baby twice. And this time it's bigger than it was when it was in the car.
When it came back to finish the game.
Listen.
Yo. First of all, who made that fat mutant baby fly? That's the part that got me. Like the fact that it was part fucking gargoyle, essentially, and was out here for blood, wasn't taking no prisoners. What he did to them kids in episode 1.
Listen, and you know, because if anybody else knows, you know, we've watched it chapter 1. We get invested in the losers, so we're thinking, hey, we're getting like pre-losers, you know what I'm saying? And then episode 1 was like, you ain't getting a damn thing.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought watching episode 1, I was like, oh, cool, this is gonna be like the setup. These are gonna be your main characters. Nope.
Right.
No, they're not. You gonna get 2 main characters. Everybody else, you die today.
Murked. And it was so it happened so quickly because I thought like for sure that Teddy and his, Phil and his little sister were gonna get away. And I was like, okay, cool, because they're on the poster.
Right.
They're in the advertisement.
I for sure thought Teddy and Phil were gonna be like, oh, these are gonna be the characters they're gonna carry, and then like the girls would play a role, not the little sister. I didn't think the little sister was gonna make it.
Right.
But when we started talking about Ronnie and
Lily,
I was like, all right, they'll be around a couple more times. But I really thought it was gonna be like Teddy, but nah, I was wrong.
And I for sure thought it was gonna be Teddy because his last name is Eurus. And I was like, oh, that's Dan's dad. And then come back and find out later on that, I mean, obviously he died, so can't be Stan's dad. And then, like I told someone else, I said it feels like Pennywise killed the wrong Eurus.
I also would like to start off by saying I said this to you, and I will say it again publicly. I did not put enough respect on Pennywise's name because he was never in my top 5. But after season 1 of this, I'm gonna have to speak Pennywise's name with some reverence, because
period. He's top 5 for me now. Like top 5.
No holes barred. And then when you start talking about his ability to see the fact that time just kind of means really nothing to him. Yeah. So he can go either way, either forward or back if he feels like it. He can see the future, but he can live in the past. And I'm like, what do we? And he doesn't pull any punches.
Oh no!
Like there's no rhyme or reason. I've decided that everybody dies today.
What I love the most about Welcome to Derry is that they didn't give us Pennywise right out the gate. Right. And of course that made a couple of people mad because they was like, oh, I'm looking for the clown. But what you don't understand is that Pennywise is a form of it. Right. Everything else is just forms of it. Like when Lily saw her dad all mangled up as pickles in the store, which I will never eat pickles again because that was nasty. This whole show was just grotesque in the worst. In the,
But you know,
and I'm a
like
horror fan.
it was there was a lot of gore, but it wasn't like, you know how like certain movies, we talked about it after seeing, what was it, Hard Eyes, where
Yeah.
it was gore for the sake of gore. Like
Mm-hmm.
we were just trying to shock you with how drastic we could make this. That
Right.
wasn't the case with that. Like it was gory, but it was gory inside of the story. Like even when the kids didn't die, like so when he came back for Ronnie and Lily the first time, that was very visual and gory. Nobody died. That was just part of the story.
Yeah.
And so you were like, oh, he's losing it. And then, you know, spoiler alert, if you, I mean, well, season's over, you should have seen it by now. But even at the very end, when they finally contain him again, what his body does and what his face does and how it peels back and shows all of those gory characters again.
Yeah.
It's gory, but it's like, oh, it's part of that. It's part of that. You got to go lay down now part. It's not so much just, oh, we were trying to shock you with all these faces. No. We're letting you know there's layers to this. We can play this however you want to play it. And that's why I'm like, I gotta put some respect on his name, because
But I also need to put some respect on HBO Max's name too, because
they didn't fumble it. They for sure didn't fumble it.
Oh no, they didn't. And especially when it came to the poster switch. So before episode 1, if you saw the original poster, it had Lily, Phil, Teddy, and Teddy's little sister. I mean, Phil's little sister on the poster. And I think Ronnie's on the poster too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as episode 1 ended, it was like, here's a new poster. And now it has Richie, Marge, and Will on the poster.
But I mean, I think it was like you talked about the reveal. Whoever was in charge of the marketing got with whoever was in charge of the actual show and was like, hey, how about we do it like this?
Yeah.
So that level of communication and just like, no, we gonna play with them. We want them to get, like you said, we all thought those first kids were gonna make it through the everything. We thought those 4 to 5, somehow those 4 to 5 kids were gonna be it. We thought that was gonna be your team. Come to find out, nah, that was the setup. It's only gonna be these 2 girls. The real main characters are gonna be Ronnie and Lily. Yes. Everybody else, you might make it, you might not make it. We don't know. We
gonna see.
We gonna see. I mean, even when it starts talking about God damn it, I'm forgetting everybody's name right now. But when girl Margie, when she, you know, you think Margie's gonna be in it, but at some point in time, you also think, you know, hey, Margie might be getting knocked off today.
Right. Because she was kicking it with the patty cakes. And she was on the fence for me at first. Because at first I was like, man, Margie got to go. She got to get up out of here. Like,
but remember, she almost didn't make it in episode 4.
Yeah, and so that's what I thought, that she wasn't gonna make it, because I was like, yo, like as soon as Pennywise started messing with her eyes, because she had mentioned earlier in episode 1 that her glasses made her eyes look bulgy, and then they saw the movie with the snails and things like that. I was like, man, she about to be up out of here. And then she showed up in the next episode. It's like, there's a reason why she's on the poster.
But you know, it's also, I mean, if you think about it, it's also a part of the story, because with them constantly saying that Lily was crazy, and that previous episode, in episode 3, remember, she was committed for that point in time. When she went and tried to tell the truth about what she saw, it was like, oh, Pennywise really is out here playing chess, not checkers, because he was like, if I knock her off with her here, they sending you back, and I just get stronger.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, once again, and like you said, I think with the whole reveal of how they played out Pennywise, where you don't see him, but like everybody could be him.
Yeah.
Like down to, you know, the cop when they were sending off Ronnie's dad, the cop standing in the door, you know, when Ronnie's mom came back in her nightmares, like you said, with Lily's dad.
Yeah.
You keep going, it could be anybody. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. And then all of a sudden you finally get that real live reveal, and it's not a bogus reveal. He does kind of creep you out when he walks to the scene.
And let's talk about Pennywise's big reveal because that happened in episode 5. So we made it past the season split, and now Maddie has come back.
Let's talk about that. Can we? I know we're not getting into that right now,
but it leads into that.
but it's wild because Maddie just ain't dead.
Right. Maddie has found his way out of the sewers, and he is now in their little hideout, in the tent. And I don't know about you, but if my friend went disappearing for 3 months and then just randomly showed up, Playboy, who is you?
On everything I love. I'm not even asking no questions because I know we got some secrets, brother. I got to kill you. I got to kill you.
Somebody got to go.
Somebody got to go. Because I mean, I can't feel like I don't feel like if they find you dead a second time, like
right,
they can't blame me. you were gone.
But here's the thing, like Lily came back later and was like, well, because Maddie was like, oh, Phil might still be alive in the sewers. And Ronnie's like, wait, what? No, let's take you to the police so they can release my dad because they think that he killed you.
Right.
So I need you to come with me. Although I really look, God bless Ronnie's heart. Her daddy still wouldn't have been out of jail because there's still 3 other kids that's dead. Just because Maddie came back don't mean the daddy getting out of jail, baby. But
all he had, I mean, I get what you're saying, but all he would have had to say was he didn't kill us.
Oh, and the other 3 are in the sewers.
Even if he didn't say they were in the sewers, he was like, something did attack us. It wasn't Ronnie's dad. That could have been whatever. Would they have made it to the sewers? The sheriff was obviously racist and crooked, so maybe not. But at the same time, it could have got out of there. And we talked about this, getting ready for this, and my personal feelings about Ronnie being so attached to her dad and her dad, it always made things that much harder for them to survive.
This is true.
They were always a step away from death because either Ronnie wouldn't leave her dad or her dad wouldn't leave Ronnie. And I respect it, but it was like, yo, y'all, I'm going to need y'all to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, we're going to talk about good old Mr. Grogan and how useless this man was.
Everybody fighting for your life, and you screaming Ronnie's name, holding the M14. What? You got a Mini 14, and everybody's shooting.
But you. But back to Pennywise's reveal. These kids was hired in a giraffe's booty.
Man, were they ever?
I don't know I know it's called Mommy's Happy Little Pills, but whatever they were on,
it's essentially what we would consider what is the downer they're giving cats nowadays for depression.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, but that's exactly what they was on.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh, my head feels funny. Because you high.
Yes.
And even Maddie took one and they had no effect on him. So
Maddie they all took 3.
Oh yeah, that part too. They pretty much, I mean, 3 is a lot.
Yeah.
Because you technically only supposed to take 1. Just 1. They took 3. But then they finally show up they hit a dead end. Maddie gets up on top of this wall, and that's when
I think that's what we're talking about here.
What?
Is what Prozac. It's either Prozac or Valium.
That's
Prozac.
it.
There it is, Prozac.
Yeah, Prozac.
I think what it was, Prozac. I had to Google it. My bad. I apologize.
So Lily, Ronnie, Will, Rich, Marge, and Maddie end up hitting a dead end, and then that's when they see the dead bodies of Phil, Teddy, and little Susie. And the reveal for me was probably like one of the, listen, probably one of the greatest reveals in horror history because having Maddie swing on that pole looking like he was working for his dollars.
Man.
As he slowly, every time he swung by, a part of him changed. Back of his head opens up and reveals teeth. Like, and then he comes back around the last time, and he's like, while he's singing "Down with the Clown," and then he gets to the end, and he's like, "Down with the clown," and then he says what the turtle has been saying the whole time: "Duck and cover, kids." Or kiddos. Duck and cover, kiddos. I thought that was genius.
Oh, there's very little that I've seen movie-wise or series-wise where you were like, oh, that was well played. You didn't see it. You didn't, because you literally didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
You really you were invested in maybe Maddie was alive. Maybe they really had a chance. And then come to find out Maddie has been living his Megan Thee Stallion life on this pole, and he's about to fuck your shop up.
And Maddie is also floating in the water too.
Yeah, Maddie is right there. The real live Maddie got a chunk missing out of him and is over there. And he was not attacked by a socket shark, Josh. He was killed, murked by Pennywise, and had a piece of him missing over there. But
yeah,
that was there's nothing better than that one. Like that's a top tier reveal. Like under no circumstances, like you've never looked at anything and been like, oh, I saw that. Nobody can say, oh, I saw that coming. No, you didn't. You lied.
No,
you were,
and that would be the second time in Welcome to Derry where they got our hopes up. Because I was like, I'm like, hey, look, I wasn't even thinking like Maddie was Pennywise in
never
was it
never,
form, right?
Never thought it.
Never thought it. I was like, yo, Maddie really got away. But then after I went back and rewatched the episode, I paid attention to what Maddie said. Maddie was like, oh, he hunts at night. And I was like, that's a damn lie. He's up 24/7. That he don't sleep until it's time for him to go to sleep.
Yeah. Like I said, Pennywise about that action 24/7.
24/7. He let you sleep. That's what it is here.
But no, somewhat, because remember, Ronnie went to bed.
He got Ronnie. He got Ronnie.
Like, yo, Ronnie, let me holler at you. What you mean? But I mean, also with the two boys, they both thought they were finna go to bed, and he was like, nah, let me holler at you too. Right before
I'm gonna make that lampshade scene was wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna make y'all sneak out so I can murder y'all.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of Ronnie, let's go ahead and talk about her no good daddy. I mean, not her no good daddy.
Not that her daddy was no good. Her daddy was just but this is what I was talking about with their fucking relationship. Like, it's so cool that they have that relationship, but it was the most useless thing ever. It constantly put one of them, if not both of them, in harm's way. Mm-hmm. We talked about it, and he said we talked about it, but we talked about it with when they burned down the black spot, when they were finally at Pennywise's neck. Everybody is shooting Pennywise to buy these kids some time, and you just yelling Ronnie's name.
Yeah. Here's my thing about Ronnie's dad. At no point, no, I ain't gonna say that. He does love his daughter. He loves his daughter with everything in him.
Everything.
However,
it's a beautiful thing. However, you won't get everybody.
You put not only yourself, you also put your child in danger by, number one, messing around with a married white woman in 1962
in middle America.
Right. And then on top of that, you gave your child too much freedom. And this is where I agreed with his mother, is that he gave Ronnie too much freedom especially when it came to their movie theater. Ain't no way Ronnie should have had the keys to the movie theater to let nobody in after when I'm not there as a parent. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. It's because Ronnie didn't have her mother. Her mother died during childbirth, which was also very disgusting when Pennywise
Brought that
went
back up.
after re-imaged that.
Was that episode 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that Ronnie's dad gave Ronnie too much power. Not gonna say power, too much. Like I get it. You're trying to treat her as if she's your equal, by, oh, we're running this movie theater together. So she has the keys. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, your daughter just put you in jail because she let these kids in after hours and they got murked and you went at home. And then you lied and said that you lied and said that you was at home sleeping. And then the police chief was like, nah, we got a tip that you were
X,
on
Y,
this
and Z.
street, you on Jackson Street at this time. And then he even got him with his cigarette brand. And he was like, well, we found this off Jackson Street. So you want to tell the truth? And obviously he couldn't tell the truth because the truth would have had him swinging from a tree. So it almost is like he loved his daughter, but at the same time, he didn't think about the consequences for his actions. Because think if those kids didn't die in his theater and he had got caught with that white woman.
It's a whole lot shorter episode, that's for sure. Because if he gets caught, we going straight to lynching.
Right.
We straight to lynching. Ronnie and her grandmother probably leave town. And it is what it is. What you gonna do now?
Right.
So the team is officially broke up. You know, Will's not coming around. Richie got to figure out how to Mac Maddie, not Maddie, Marge by himself. Rich is probably still alive.
Rich is, for me, they never,
Rich would still
if none of this happens, they would have never ended up at the black spot.
Right.
And the black spot would have never happened.
But I said this and I'll say it again. I felt like Rich's dying was Ronnie's fault.
Because she wouldn't leave the black spot.
Because she wouldn't leave the black spot. Because she wouldn't leave her dad. When they came to get her so they could go talk to Lily, and they were like, we need all of us to defeat him. And truth be told, at the end of the last episode, they did need all of them to defeat him. She was like, I'm not leaving my daddy again. I'm not leaving my daddy again. And then guess what? Everybody shows up and all hell breaks loose. So,
well, we're here now, so we might as well talk about
when the honky struck. Yes.
So we get it was like episode 5 into episode 6.
Yeah.
Rolling into episode, or was it episode 6 rolling into episode?
That was episode 6 going into episode 7.
Okay. So episode 6 rolling into episode 7 is the Black Spot massacre, basically.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I'll say about this is that it is quite different than how it is in the book. The only change is that the now not sheriff sheriff of Derry has been fired. And now he's like, oh, I know where he's at.
We're forgetting one key thing. The worst person second to Pennywise in this entire series.
Oh.
Miss Kirsch.
Oh. She listen. She was the one that dropped the dime on where Grogan was the night that the kids were killed. I'm pretty sure of it. She was the one that dropped the tip. Because she felt like that there was going to be chaos whenever he was getting on that bus to go to Shawshank. Like a shootout was going to happen. And truly, it was there because he showed up, as you said, as the
sheriff, and as the deputy.
One of the deputies. He was in the window because it ultimately was supposed to be chaos, right? The Phil and Susie's dad shows up with the blim blam.
Yep, shows up.
It tries to shoot him
with the 38 special,
right? And so Miss Kirsch is also the one that dropped the dime and said that I know where Grogan is. He's at the black spot.
But she did that after hooking up with him. again.
Yeah. But also, and we also discussed this as well too in preparation for this, is that had Charlotte not told Miss Kirsch where she was taking Grogan, she would have never dropped that tip and said that he was at the black spot.
Also, she never told her son
That
where
too.
he was.
That too.
He wouldn't have told his friends. They wouldn't have gone out there and stayed out there. And therefore, Rich doesn't die that way either.
So in the book, the black spot does not happen the way that it happens in Welcome to Derry. It's pretty much the same. The black soldiers that were at the Air Force Base needed a place to lay their, relax and hang out, and they created the black spot. So they're kicking it. They've been kicking it for a minute. It becomes the jumping spot. And not just black people were at the black spot. There's also white people starting to come to the black spot. And it gets back to this group of people that are part of Derry. We're just going to call them the Klan for now. And they decide that there's too much fun going on at the black spot. And so then basically everything that happens in the show is what happens in the book. They end up locking the doors. Well, let me rephrase that. The black spot in the book, the door only swings one way, inward towards you. So you got to pull it in order you pull the door to get out. It doesn't go any other direction. So chaos, fire, gunshots, and you're trying to get out, and everybody is pushing up against this door. So people are getting trampled, all kinds of stuff. But then when people do finally make it out, there's a lady with her eyelashes on fire at one point, and Pennywise is flying around as the big bird, picking people off one by one, which is totally different than what happened in the show.
Well, it's completely different. What happens in the show is obviously the Klan wins out. They lock everybody in. They don't care that it's men, women, and children. They're like, we're really just gonna kill everybody. Yeah. You could all die today. We ain't tripping as long as we get that one dude. And they still didn't get that one dude. But we ain't tripping, and it's
this is also Ronnie Daddy fault because he was in the back room,
right?
And he decided to come out and was like, "Nah, y'all can take me." And then the black soldiers like, "Nah, we ain't doing that today." Wait a minute.
That was the stupidest thing because they showed up looking for him, and all the black soldiers were like, "He ain't here, right?" But they were already ready to fight. They weren't worried about whether he was or he wasn't coming out. They were already like, leave or get shot. They had already made up their mind. We with it.
Right.
You showed up you showed up on our hood. I don't want to say hood, but you showed up in our spot talking reckless. We all have registered firearms like you all got registered firearms. Let's shoot it out.
Just so happens ours is government issued though.
Ours government issued. So let's let it bang. So they were with it. Had it just stopped there instead of once again, more of him being useless. Just
your child is there.
Just fucking useless. Because not only do you know your child is there, what's the end result? Oh, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all hang me. You know your daughter has been bugging out about you being missing all the time, so you gonna let them hang you in front of your daughter, which is even dumber because they're clearly not here to arrest you, fam.
Yeah.
Clearly,
they're not taking you back to jail. You're not going to Shawshank.
You're not going back into a cell. You're going into I was about to say you're either going into a shallow grave or not, but you're really probably not. You're probably going to stay hanging from that tree and they're just going home.
Until
somebody else is going to have to cut you down.
Yeah. To one of those black soldiers come and cut you down.
Yeah. So you're even more useless now because you puff your chest out. I'm ready to go. Why? Go back in the room.
Why did you even come? And my whole thing was, I know you can hear them talking outside. You hear the black soldiers saying, "He ain't here. He not here." And then everybody got their guns out. You know what I'm saying? And then you decide in all your fatherly wisdom, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and hang me from a tree.
It's not fatherly wisdom. It's just pure stupidity. Like that just makes him the most useless character in this movie. We were talking about who was the actual problem. I have to rethink my answer. I think he was the problem. He was the problem. Like you said, with the situation with him giving so much freedom to Ronnie, right? If you don't give Ronnie that freedom, these first 3 kids don't die. You're not in jail. We can look past you sleeping with the second worst person in this movie, in this series. We can slide past all that because guess what? The kids ain't dead. You can keep having your affair. If it does fall back on you one day, you knew the game you were playing.
Right.
But
you signed up for it.
You signed up for this. We're fine. But even if we get past that, you're now like, well, I'm gonna escape prison. Escape prison and go where? You escaped prison and ran back to the white woman and then was like, bring my daughter to me. Bro, you want to run.
Right.
You're killing white kids. You don't think they're gonna kill your daughter when they kill you? And then in this point, you can't fight. We've established you can't fight. So the cats that are showed up and trained to fight and got their guns out, you gonna push past them and be like, nah, I got this. Once again, like you said, like with your daughter there, bruh, you were the reason all of this is going left. General Shaw was shady, got it. Miss Kirsch, crazy, got it. But none of that is a factor if you just shut that up.
If you would have just stayed in the back room, the black spot wouldn't have happened. But it does. And unfortunately, a lot of people die in the black spot.
Yeah.
Including
Rich.
Including probably one of my favorite characters from the series, Rich, because he's innocent. Like out of all of the characters, because you have Lily who whatever. You have Lily, Marge, who basically started on my I don't like you list. And then eventually I was like, you know what, Marge is a G. But Richie, he was innocent the whole time.
Yeah. He was just he always had a plan to help, and he never knew how it was gonna play out, but he had your back. That was Rich. Like he didn't know how this was gonna work out, but he was with you.
Right. He was like, you know what? I know how I can help y'all.
Let's have a seance.
We can do a seance. My Tio taught me this. And then he's like, yeah, I gotta go take a leak. And it was like, I thought we couldn't leave the circle. Well, my cousin said you could. I thought you said you learned it from your uncle.
Oh. We all got that fight and don't got the answer. We don't have the right answer, but he got an answer.
He had an answer for everything.
He had an answer for everything. And not only that, it's one thing to have an answer, but he not only had an answer, and it was the right answer or the wrong answer. He was going to ride with you to the end.
And that's exactly what he did. Because in the end, Rich came up with an idea. And when Marge figured it out, he was like,
this is what knights do.
Right.
That's what he said. He was like, you get to be a knight. And he saved her life. Saved her life twice.
Twice.
About it.
Yeah, twice.
So, like I said, Rich was, if we're worst character, Ronnie's dad. Best character, easily Rich.
Yeah.
Easily Rich.
And I mean, for me, I knew that at least one of the kids was gonna go. I thought for sure it was gonna be Lily, but when it ended up being Rich, I said, you know what? It makes sense because there was
you have to have a tearjerker. The ending, yeah.
Gotta have a tearjerker in there somewhere. And again, when it comes to horror, most of the time, the people that we love the most, whether it's a movie or series, they die. I mean, Think about it. We like Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Everybody loved her in the first movie. And so they took her away from us in part 3. Same thing with this. Rich was innocent. He was the one that kept saying we shouldn't be fighting, y'all. We need to be together to fight this thing. And yeah, unfortunately, I mean, he was there in the end, which shout out to my boy Rich.
Like I said, when he was ride or die, and he meant just that, ride or die. He was dead. I'm still riding for you.
Exactly. So I truly love the character Rich and everything that he stood for, you know, being the innocent child, understanding that what he was up against as well too when it came to this supernatural entity and having to deal with all of those people. I mean, Will was kind of I think Will was the character of Will was too safe. Like he didn't really have a role when it came to this whole thing.
Will's character is weird to me only because it's like you can't figure out what role he was going to play.
Right.
Like at one point when we kind of get to know Will is, you know, he's infatuated with Ronnie. And so he's trying to just be around Ronnie.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay, so Will might die next because we don't know what you're doing here other than being, you know, your dad is part of the game, but you're just kind of here. Your mom is starting to fight with the entire town. Okay, got it. We with it. Your dad is fearless, so they have to use him because Pennywise at that time, before he got his full strength, you know, couldn't affect him.
Right.
So, okay.
He feared nothing.
He feared nothing. Okay, so we get it with your dad. You, however, you, good sir, you don't necessarily have the right heart. I mean, you're smart, but it's like you're an outsider here. You don't. You're right. He's a very weird character because you're like, you're not the hero.
Yeah,
you're also
he didn't
not
really have a role. Yeah,
you're here. You're here. Your connection is your dad. We get it, you know. But he's literally playing the role of Michael Jordan's son at this point because his dad is MJ. His dad is like, I'm going to throughout everything. His dad was like, nope, I'll go fight somebody. Don't matter. I'll go. You know, when his dad realized how bad it was, his dad drew down on the entire Air Force and was like, nah, give it here.
Right. His dad wanted all the smoke. Man, shout out to Leroy.
Leroy walked in there with one 1911 and a hangar full of people and was like, give it here.
Hand that over. You can go ahead and give me that pillar. You can give that to me. You can hand that to me. And it was like,
it's 30 people in here, and it's you in here with one pistol, and he still was like, no, hand it over.
Man, when he pulled the gun on Shaw, I was like, man, if you don't shoot this man.
That's my point. That's why I'm saying it's MJ versus his son. Because Michael Jordan's son, what are you doing, fam? But MJ, you know what this is about. And that's basically what it is. Leroy was MJ. What are you finna tell me? What do you want? What do you want next, fam? What do you want next? They shot him. He got up and still knocked Pennywise's head off two more times.
Did too. Yep. Did. Unlike Ronnie's daddy.
Unlike Ronnie, once again, the most useless character. Everybody is shooting to save somebody's life. Ronnie daddy's yelling.
And there's bullets in the gun. That's the wild part.
He got the only fully loaded gun.
It's fully loaded.
Leroy did empty the mag twice. Rose let off.
Charlotte would have, but she went to go after Leroy after he got deadlighted.
Yeah.
She dropped her blim blam. But then Ronnie's daddy picked it up.
Like I said, the only fully loaded gun wouldn't bust a grape in a food fight. Bro, he's the most useless character. He's the worst character through this entire series. And then I'm not saying the worst character in terms of like being written badly. He's just the worst person. Yeah. He's just useless.
all around.
All around useless. Like every step you take is just the wrong move.
Again, but you love your daughter.
You love your daughter. That is your only redeeming quality. You love your daughter. That is it. But besides that, you're horrible.
So, what did you think about the whole pillars thing, and that being the reason why Pennywise is stuck in Derry? What did you think about that whole thing?
I thought it was cool only because because when they finally do go, we're gonna let him out, and he does the whole fog thing where he just immediately takes over the town. I'm like, oh, so if he's not in Derry, there's nothing stopping him anywhere. And this is not a. This is why I'm like, once again, gotta put some respect in his name, because this is not a Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers situation where it's like, if enough of us get together, we'll just kill him.
Right.
There's a way out of this. No, if Pennywise gets loose, he's just loose.
Yeah. There's no more 27 years sleep. He is
this
gone.
This is not the United States of Pennywise.
Right.
And he's just loose, and you're gonna deal with it. So that's why it's like, even more so to the point, you really do have to put some more respect on his name, because it's like, if those pillars aren't there, and you saw what happened when just one wasn't there.
Yeah.
So if he did actually get the opportunity, like crazy old General Shaw was talking about, and I'm glad I know this is off track, but I'm glad he died by the way he died, because
I was going to say, I was like, listen,
if there wasn't a lot of people that outside of obviously the Klan when they showed up, so the sheriff deserved to die, Mrs. Kirsch deserved to die, but she obviously had to stay alive,
and the sheriff too, because he's the bully's great grandfather. Yeah.
Grandfather. So obviously those two have to stay alive, so you can't kill them. But Shaw, however, he deserved to die, because when he was told so many times, hey, stop.
This ain't what you want, be pimping.
This ain't what you think it's gonna be. When Rose was like, I remember, just like you remember, don't do it. When Leroy came to him the first time and was like, you playing with something you can't control, and he told Leroy, stay in your lane.
Halloran even told him too. Halloran was like, hey man, this thing was in my head.
Yeah.
You're playing with fire. You need to stand down.
Yeah. When Halloran came to him, the number of times Halloran came to him when he was like, yo, it's bad. Even when he came to him that last time after he was completely messed up, and he was like, this ain't it. When he almost jumped out of the helicopter, and he was like, we're too close.
Yeah.
Everybody kept telling him, like, yo, this isn't it. Stop. When Leroy pulled the gun on him, he was like, we can't get rid of this. We can't stop. And he was like, no, this is what I want. He was like, this ain't what you want.
This ain't what you want, big dog.
This is not going to solve the problem like you think it's going to solve this problem. Don't do it. But he wouldn't listen.
The fact that Shaw thought that using Pennywise to create fear was the way to get America back on track. Oh, right. That sounds familiar.
a little too much on point there. Yeah. We scare y'all enough, but that's a real life narrative, and it's such a he's so ignorant to it that even when he thinks he has it under control, knowing good and goddamn well he ain't got it under control, and Pennywise is just standing there, and everybody's like, yo, get away, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna go talk to him and tell him he's free.
Listen,
he's free, all right.
And it wasn't even the fact that anybody tried to stop him from going to talk to Pennywise. He saw him in the binoculars and was like, oh, that must be him. Let me go holler at him real quick.
Let me go holler at him real quick.
And then, he's frozen at that time because Halloran's in his mind.
Yeah.
Slapping him around like a $2 hoe. And when Halloran gets moved and Pennywise gets shook free from The Shining, Shaw's like, you free to go. Go ahead. You got this.
Yeah.
And I knew. It's crazy because I was like, watch, he's going to stop and he's going to be like, I know you. And that's exactly what he did. He started walking off, and then he was like,
I never forget a smell.
he was like, oh, no, no. I know you. And then he did that whole face thing. I was like, watch this fool. Watch this fool.
I made you shit on yourself as a kid. Yep.
Right.
I know that doo-doo smell. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the military mindset, right? A person that's in charge thinking that he can control something that's outside of the military, right? Yeah. And he's like, you will stand down. Pennywise is like, your lunch.
Yeah, I will not. Thank you. I appreciate
it just and then this is all, I mean, this also leads to other things in this episode as well too. We get the big reveal that Marge is the mother of one of the losers, which has been a fan discussion the whole season, is that Marge is short for Margaret, as in Margaret Tozier. And so when Pennywise finally isolates Marge by herself, and he tells her, he calls her Margaret Tozier, and she's like, that ain't me. I don't know who that is. And he's like, no, not yet. And then he's like, don't you know your baby boy? And she's like, I don't know
kids. Yeah, you're talking to, what are they? They're 13 or something, whatever at this point. 12, 13 at this point. Hey, think about that.
Right. So then he shows her the poster that we also saw in It Chapter 1, and it has Richie Tozier's face on it. And it was almost a oh my God moment, but because I've been listening to the fan, stuff, I was like, that makes sense.
It was, I can't, that, well, it kind of leads us like the last 30 minutes of that episode with the end scene and everything is kind of like, I think there's a lot of times where you feel like things aren't properly stamped close.
Mm-hmm.
This one was, like much of the series was done just right.
Yeah.
Like the way Marge explains it to Lily, like, hey, he was saying that this is going to be my kid. And they start talking about the same thing we were talking about with him being able to move back and forward in time. And it's kind of all relative to him. He'll do what he wants to do.
Yeah. And
she points out, well, what if he goes forward and stops us today? And Lily goes, that's not our problem.
Right. She was like, what if he goes and kills like our family from before us? Like, what if he goes after our parents? And Lily was like, not my issue.
Not my issue. I fought him today. I took my W. They gonna have to do that on their own. That ain't got nothing to do with me, champ. Right. So, but it's kind of like the way they kind of tied everything off, and then with I think, which was probably your favorite part, if I'm not mistaken, the end credits, where you get to meet the next level of what's going to happen, or what should tie into, chapter one. Because I know how you love a good cliffhanger.
Listen, when that we're gonna call it the post credit scene. Right. When the post credit scene came on, and actually there was no credits in between it. It was just
it hit
title screen, I guess.
Yeah, because it transitions. It tells you It Chapter 1, and then it shows you his face again, and then the next thing you see
is the scene where Mrs. Kirsch. We are now 26 years later. So now we're 1 year away from the beginning of It Chapter 1, and Mrs. Kirsch is still in Juniper Hill, losing her mind because she's been catatonic this whole time because of Pennywise putting her in the deadlights. And so if you paid attention to her painting, she's painting the moment when she grabs him by the arm, and she was like, "Papa, is me." And wait a minute now, shut up. So she goes down the hall. And that's where we see Beverly's mother has hung herself, and Beverly and her dad are on the floor. And you could tell it was her because she still had on that same dress, and she had the long orange, copper hair. And I was like, oh, y'all so dirty. But it made sense because later on in chapter 2, when Beverly goes what she thinks is her house, who does she meet? Mrs. Kirsch. So now you've tied in a memory that Beverly had as a child to Pennywise using it in to his advantage when Beverly is an adult,
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty dope.
but it goes back to why you need to put some respect in his name, because he's like, I can pull from any point in time and we can play this game.
Right.
I reached back 2 different generations and was like, now what you want to do?
That's true. But speaking of Mrs. Kirsch, because we do need to touch on her real fast. We do need to touch on her. I ain't gonna say real fast, but we need to touch on her.
Raggedy.
Mrs. Kirsch, second.
Raggedy.
Second, I can't stand that lady. I mean, and with respect, she was dealing with her own trauma, right? She lost her dad at a young age and she was, traumatized by this, but she figured it out. She was like, I work at Juniper Hill. These kids are talking about a clown. Gotta be my daddy. Got to be. But you would have thought that after the first time she watched this clown eat the little girl, that she would have left well enough alone. This clown chased you with teeth, and you still think that?
Well, when he plays the whole mind game on her in the window after he killed the little girl she left to die, we should have known it then and there. When she left that little girl behind and was like, I can't open the door. But then all of a sudden, when he was her dad, she just slid it over and was like, Papa. But
he's like, open the door for Papa. I was like, girl, did you not just realize that this dude went from a clown to a human?
She's standing in a puddle of blood when she does it. Like, the blood isn't fake. It's not her mind playing a trick on her. She's standing in the puddle of blood and goes, Dad.
But later on at the black spot, she finds out this ain't her daddy. She grabs him and he's like, when he hit her with that look, I was like, girl, you done messed up. He about to eat you.
Hit her with the deadlights and was like, go on now. This never happened.
Right.
But I mean,
Mrs. Kirsch to me, she was in an abusive relationship. Didn't know that Mr. Kirsch didn't know he was racist.
Yeah, or
because you wouldn't have known he was a racist because that's how he talked to Charlotte.
Right.
Well,
I guess they weren't beating up a black kid when Charlotte was like, what are they doing? What are those boys doing? He was like, I'm boys to be boys. So I guess you don't really have a reason to believe he's racist in that moment. But
I think it's when Charlotte walked in and she had mentioned like, well, I know I stick out in the town. He's like, oh no, I wasn't saying that. And I was like, okay, Mr. Kirsch, you might slide. And then he showed up at the black spot and I was like, you don't slide.
Yeah.
You don't slide.
Yeah.
You can catch all these hands. And when Pennywise cut his head clean off, damn. But here's the other thing. Mrs. Kirsch is dressed up as Periwinkle. And you watching this this entity, eating half your husband's face. He was just take one bite. He took 2. And you still was like, Daddy.
Well, if you remember when she was talking to Lily, she was like, every time this happens, she's like, it brings him back. And I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to him. So she obviously wasn't tripping off of what he was doing as long as it was bringing him back.
Right.
So she could try to talk to him again. And it was like, man, it's not clicking in your head that your dad is a serial killer.
Because she did say that to him. She said, I knew that if this would have happened, you were going to show up because you always show up where there's chaos.
Yeah.
And then he was like, show me the bow, and pretended to be her dad for a hot second until I thought he was about to eat her when he hugged her. And then she was like, wait a minute. Like, you ain't my daddy. And he was like, duh.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Then he hit her with the deadlights, and that was the end of that ball game. Now you can go sit in the asylum.
Yeah.
But
So overall, what would you give? What would you
it
rate
didn't
Welcome to
it
Derry?
didn't miss, unfortunately. As much as I was like, I ain't finna watch it, I binge watched it essentially because I watched it in massive chunks each time I watched it. And then when I rewatched it, it was the same thing. So if we're going 1 through 5, it's an automatic 5. So all original, it kind of, you like we were talking about at the beginning, you didn't know who was gonna make it and who didn't wasn't gonna make it. You were rooting for people that you kind of felt like were gonna make it, but you also rooting for people to die. Like you were like, yeah, I'm good with you not being here. I was so here for the patty cakes getting killed.
Hey, listen.
I was here for the patty cakes getting knocked off. I was here for the sheriff getting knocked off. I knew he wasn't gonna die.
Yeah.
But I was here for all of it. And it was like you said, you rooted for you didn't know Rich was gonna die, but you knew it. My personal opinion, it was gonna be Rich or Maddie, or Rich or Margie. One of those two
Yeah.
had to go. I didn't know who. And of course they had to take down Rich, but it was yeah, no. So if I'm ranking it, it's a 5 because there was just the gore was good, but it didn't detract from the story. The stories were all intertwined and they actually made sense. We can sit here and nitpick about why we didn't like these characters, but in the moment, they made sense.
Right.
So, in the context of the story, they made perfect sense. It's just we got mad at them at the end because we know the end result. So, in hindsight being 2020, that's why we hate Mr. Grogan.
Period.
Period.
I would have to say out of 5, I'd probably give it a 4.5. It's not perfect for me. There was a little bit like story-wise, it was kind of not all the way there.
That's because you read the books.
I mean, not compare, and I try not when I watch movies and series, I try not to compare it to the source material. They did stick to the source material as much as they could, but you had to add in the Mrs. Kirsch part of it. You had to add in Rich, you had to add in Marge and Lily because these are all and Ronnie. You had to add these characters in because even though Veronica is in the book, she's 3 years old in the book. So you had to add these characters into it. I think the reason why I gave it a 4.5 and it's totally not perfect is because like I said, some parts of the story was a little drawn out. As far as like I didn't need the backstory of Shaw's first encounter with Pennywise. I mean, because because I feel like his encounter with Pennywise could have been left to him meeting Rose for the first time and then him seeing Pennywise in the woods in a different, still as a scary man, but
I think it was necessary because of the way the relationship plays out and his just overall feeling like I met this thing and now I can control this thing.
But that's the thing, like therein lies in how the story didn't make sense because because he said he started remembering things once he came back to Derry, but he had already came up with the plan that he wanted to go to. He had already came up with a plan that he wanted to go to Derry, and that doesn't flow with how Derry works. It's when you leave Derry, you forget everything. So if he forgot everything, then there would be no reason for him to come back to Derry because he wouldn't know.
Yeah,
unless he got stationed in Derry and then everything came flooding back to him.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't mad at it. I thought it was cool because it gives you just another layer of knowing Rose and knowing, all right, everybody, whether you like it or not, everybody here is connected with the exception of Leroy. Leroy is the only person that is looking from the outside in going, nah, I'm cool.
Right. And I will say this about Leroy and Charlotte. Them deciding to stay in Derry after everything that their family had been through, I thought was commendable because Charlotte was definitely ride or die. You know what I'm saying? She had been through, the civil rights movement, and we're in the middle of the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
So she's been to marches. She done started stuff and went to jail. You know what I'm saying? Because Leroy was like, we won't need another jail visit, do we? And she was like, boy.
When she hopped on the phone and was like, I know some cats in Canada who can fake your paperwork right now. Oh,
right.
Okay. All right, Charlotte.
When Charlotte threatened the police officer, she's like, I can get JFK, MLK, all the K's.
Yeah. She told you,
try Jesus, not me. So I love the fact that Leroy and Charlotte decided to stay in Derry. I mean, obviously we knew that they were going to stay anyway, because that's how we end up with Mike Hanlon in the future. But I love the fact that they did decide to stay. And but overall, the story, this is probably one of the best horror series that I've seen ever. Shout out to Machete for this, because god dang.
I was not, like I said, I was not sold when people were like, oh, it's gonna come out. That's gonna be cool. I was like, that should be dope. A lot of people are gonna like it, i.e. our illustrious host. But I was like, oh, that's gonna be dope. But now I am kind of one of those people like, yo, I need to see what happens next. So you gonna come on with the season 2.
Yeah, I need season 2 by Halloween.
Man, hold on. First of all, I'm gonna need season 2 before Daylight Savings ends. So you go.
Right.
I'm gonna need this ASAP, because I still want to watch it in the dark. So
yes, yeah.
But it's I can't find a flaw in it. I know you guys and some other people perfectionists about it are gonna be like, all right. But as somebody who wasn't gonna watch it and then was like, I'm not gonna miss it.
Yeah, I was faithfully watching it every Sunday, and I'm gonna throw Marcus under the bus. Marcus kept skipping the intro, and missed out on the whole dramatic music that plays.
First of all, my impatience.
Listen, that's on Bops. I ain't gonna hold you. And somebody put it to a beat. I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this on my Spotify.
Man.
But no, I love ribbon in my hair. That was ribbon in my hair. That was a great song.
In my defense, I've watched it numerous times today.
Yeah. And so what are you looking forward to in season 2?
I want to see who gets it next. Honestly, I want to see how this plays out next. If they're going, because I guess what is it? They're supposed to be going back in time further. So well, now we're going into the 1930s.
Yep.
I want to see who gets it next. Like, what's the next series of kids going to do, or what's the next series of anybody going to do against this situation? Because it took the entire town last time. Now, if you're telling me we're going back to the 1930s, it gets even tougher.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get Bill Denborough's family tree, because we got Tozier, we got Hanlon, we got Beverly, or maybe it might end up being Beverly and Bill's family line in the next season, because then after that is Eddie and Stan and Eddie. And then can't be Ben, because Ben had just moved to Derry. So he didn't really know. So we'll get 6. We should get 6 out of the 7 losers and get their family tree backstory. Well, we got a Urus. We got Urus too, because Teddy just didn't make it.
Yeah, Teddy didn't make it out. But the other thing is, this is the only thing I can think about. Like, this is where it gets tricky, because with this one, you didn't, like we were talking about, you didn't know who were going to be the main characters.
Right.
You thought it was going to be these set of people, and then immediately we're killing off everybody.
Yeah.
With this one, it's like, how do you lead into it? Because now, like you said, you're looking for the names now. So, all right, is this the person? This person? Okay, cool. They're going to be alive this entire time.
Yeah.
And then you can expect everybody else to die. So I want to see how they figure this out, how they spin it, because now if you're looking for 2 people to survive, you know which 2 are going to survive. So you never question whether or not they're going to live or die. There were multiple times in season 1 where you thought Lily was out of here.
I thought she was gone.
You thought Lily was done for when he caught her in the sewer, and she just happened to be standing over the scepter, or over the dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just happened to find out where he had dropped that dagger. It was like, oh, Lily, you gonna chalk it up, brother.
You about to go be with the Lord.
Even when Will bid it in the cemetery, you were like, oh, Will's out of here.
Yeah. But we also knew that Will wasn't going to be out of here because Will is a Hanlon. And so we knew at least one kid was going to survive. Welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
Margaret Tozier was Margaret or Marge being Richie Tozier's mom was the big reveal. And it was shocking. It was like, damn, son. I thought she was going to be up out of there too. Especially after that eye thing.
I didn't think she was gonna make it to the eye. I really thought she was gonna stab herself in the face. Like more than she did. Yeah, obviously, but I really thought she was gonna just end it. So
I think what I'm expecting from season 2 is they're not gonna give us Pennywise right away. In that one either. They'll build it up. Or maybe they might just start off with Pennywise. Who knows? Because at this point, Pennywise is a clown and he can walk amongst people. You know what I'm saying? Right. And nobody would ever question it, right? Unless it's outside of like carnival season or something like that. Then they're like, why is this clown walking around? It's wild, bro. But I think I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with the Bradley gang because
I can't. I mean, I'm not on pins and needles, but I am intrigued because I kind of want Pennywise to show up and be Pennywise. Yeah. Let's just show up and let's just start murking. Like I want that more than anything. Like I'm here to be a problem. That's basically
it.
That's what I signed up for. I have signed up to be nothing but a problem. That is all I'm here for. There's no rhyme, there's no reason, there's no motive. Problem. That is it.
Yeah. And I mean, even from the jump, like he showed up as a child and was like, I can't find my parents. And it was almost a humbling, not gonna say humbling. It was one of those moments where Pennywise has always been the clown going after children. And in this case, it was a child going after the clown or an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, the kids seem drawn to you. He was like, I know what I'm gonna do. But this is definitely season 1 was definitely great. I enjoyed it. Definitely one of those series that I would definitely watch again and again and again and never get tired of it. And you know, it's because it's just that great. You know, the writing was great, the cinematography was great. Everything about this was really good. Now, are there some flaws in the storyline? Yeah. But other than that, I mean, you can get past that. But Marcus, thank you so much for being on Cinematic Nightmares. As always, you know you're always welcome back. I mean, always on game night. Always supporting me. I appreciate you so much.
Game night's coming. Yeah, we got that. And
yep, game night is coming this month. So be on the lookout for that. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Oh, you can find me in the streets. No, you cannot find me in the streets. You can find me on IG under All Talks Media. You can find me with the exact same handle. Well, not the exact same handle. You also find me on YouTube, Jack of All Talks, with your illustrious host, Mika G. We have a new episode that I need to go post as we speak. So after I get off of this, I'll go put that online for the world to see Mika be great on something else besides scary movies.
It's true. It's true. Again, I want to thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And thank you all for watching this episode. If you have not seen Welcome to Derry, make sure you go check it out. It is on HBO Max right now. All 8 episodes are there. So go and check that out and then go watch it chapter 1 and 2. And it puts everything into perspective for you. And also make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you don't ever miss another single nightmare. And as I always say, until next time, boys and ghouls.
Yeah.